Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Okay, so if you're a developer building in Claude Code, I'm willing to bet you've hit this incredibly frustrating wall. You connect a highly capable third-party model, sit back, and expect absolute magic. But instead of this seamless, beautiful workflow, you get a glaring behavioral mismatch. Your model is smart, for sure, but it's acting completely lost in its new environment. Well, today, we're going to solve exactly that. We're looking at a really powerful plugin called hello2cc, which is purpose-built to make your third-party models feel completely native. Okay, let's dive into our roadmap for today. We'll start off by diagnosing the behavioral gap. Then we'll introduce the hello2cc plugin itself, break down its 4 pillars of alignment, see how it plays nicely with your host workflows, establish exactly when you should be using it, and finally, we'll walk through the 3-step installation process. All right, let's jump right into section 1. The behavioral gap. So ask yourself this: why do really smart models act totally dumb inside Claude Code? It's a massive irony, right? You hook up an incredibly intelligent model, we're talking DeepSeek, Gemini, GPT-4, fully expecting this native, Opus-level synergy. You give it a task, and instead of elegantly using the tools available, it just starts stumbling around like it's never seen a command line in its life. There's a great piece on Dudarik.com that sums this up perfectly. It says these aren't model capability failures. They're behavioral mismatches. The model doesn't know it's inside Claude Code. You know, the problem really isn't intelligence. The problem is self-awareness. It's like you've dropped an absolute genius into a foreign control room. They've got the brain power, obviously, but they have absolutely no idea which buttons to press or what the local customs are. And man, this lack of self-awareness causes some highly specific, deeply annoying symptoms. Your model might completely ignore workflows that are already loaded, just stubbornly deciding to rewrite the entire process from scratch. Or it might route entirely around the MCP servers you've so carefully made available. You might see parallel workers choosing a flat agent path instead of utilizing a proper team workflow. And then there's perhaps the most frustrating one of all, verbose meta-narration. Instead of just writing the code or using a tool, the model writes a whole paragraph explaining to you what it's about to do. It's exhausting. Which brings us to section 2, introducing the hello2cc plugin. So what is this thing? Well, Hello Claude2cc is a native-first Claude Code plugin released under an Apache 2.0 license. Think of it as a brain transplant for your model's environmental awareness. Its entire job is to silently steer those third-party models like GPT, Kimi, DeepSeek, Gemini, or Qwen toward Opus-compatible behavior. And the best part? It does this right at the start of your session without requiring you to replace your model gateway, your provider mapping, or your account permissions. To make this perfectly clear, I like to think of it as the gateway versus the guide. If you're using a tool like CC Switch, that's your gateway. CC Switch gets the model into the building, right? It handles the API keys, the provider mapping, the routing, the whole shebang. But hello2cc, that's the guide. Once the model is inside the building, hello2cc taps it on the shoulder and tells it how to behave. It handles tool choice, workflow continuity, and output style after the routing is established. They are completely complementary tools. Let's pop the hood in section 3, the 4 pillars of alignment. So the crucial point here is exactly how these 4 pillars work together to close that behavioral gap. First up, skills and workflows. This pillar actively encourages the model to continue with already visible or loaded workflows rather than fighting them. Then we have tools and MCP. This gives the model a really strong nudge towards using the capabilities and servers that are already available in your session. Next is agents and teams. This fixes the routing, keeping one-shot parallel work on standard agent paths while pushing sustained collaboration to a real team and task board flow. And finally, output style. It absolutely forces that tighter, concise, Opus-style presentation, completely stripping away that annoying meta-narration we talked about earlier. All of this creates an incredibly sleek, silent efficiency in the background. And I have to point out this feature because it is literally brilliant. Language-agnostic semantic matching. The plugin actually stops the model from relying on exact wording or specific keyword hints to figure out what it needs to do. Instead, it switches to intent-based matching within the boundaries of what the host is exposed. Honestly, if you're working in a multilingual environment or giving non-English instructions, this is a total game changer for reliability.
Moving right along to section 4, coexisting with host workflows.
Now, what's really interesting about the version 0.5.0 update is how hello2cc has matured to gracefully yield to your environment. In older versions, it might have tried to take over a bit too much. But now, visible host skills and workflows can actually own the main flow, meaning if you use a plugin like Superpowers, it's not going to get overwritten. And even when a host workflow is leading the charge, hello2cc stays actively working in the background. It ensures your applies remain Opus style, it keeps native tool hints active, and it beautifully surfaces bootstrap skills so injected content is recognized as real host boundaries. The release notes really hit the nail on the head here, stating hello2cc now yields the main flow more cleanly instead of fighting it with a parallel execution playbook. Basically, it's learned to be a truly cooperative team player. Running multiple plugins no longer feels noisy or competitive in your session. All right, Section 5, when to use it. Let's draw some really clear technical boundaries on what this plugin does and what it definitely doesn't do. hello2cc is best for when you already have third-party models mapped via a layer like CC Switch, and you specifically want to fix those annoying behavioral gaps and force the model to use your installed MCP servers. It is strictly not for setting up provider accounts or API keys. It's not going to replace CC Switch, it won't magically expose brand new tools that Claude Code didn't originally expose, and it absolutely will not override higher priority rules in your project, like a claude.md file or direct user instructions. It fundamentally respects your existing setup. Just a rapid fire through a few common developer FAQs here. No, installing this will not force agent equals hello2cc native into your Claude Code settings. The plugin state is managed perfectly cleanly by Claude Code's native plugin system. You also don't need to trigger some manual entry point every time you want it to work. It's just a silent resident in the background. And lastly, there's no lightweight compatibility only mode. It keeps a default strong alignment to ensure your models actually act like Opus, rather than just acting as some thin, sanitize-only shim.
And that brings us to our final part, Section 6, 3 steps to install.
I really want to highlight this specific number, 0, because that is the exact number of extra commands or configurations you are required to run after the installation is complete. It really does just work. And this brilliantly illustrates just how straightforward it is to get going. Step 1, just clone the hello2c repository locally. Step 2, add that local path to your marketplace using the Claude Plugins Marketplace add command. And step 3, run the install command for hello2c at hello2c-local and hit /reload plugins. That's it, you're done. So I want to leave you with this thought. Are you ready to finally experience native Opus-level synergy with your favorite third-party models? Look, if you're tired of incredibly smart models acting incredibly dumb in your workspace, cloning this repository might just be the best 3 minutes you spend on your coding workflow today. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and hey, happy coding.